Sveicu visus Zinātnes kafejnīcā, kārtējā. Sveicu visus tos, kas ir atnākuši vienkārši paēst, iedzert kafiju. Jūs esat trāpījuši īstajā vietā, īstajā laikā. Nav? Kur šī ir? Ligīte ir auditorijā. Ko? Nav. Tā man jāstāsta anekdotas, kamēr viņi parādās, ja? Nu, johaidi. Nāk, ja? Ļoti labi. Dāmas un kungi, man ir kas ļoti svarīgs sakāms. Es esmu pilnīgs āmurs. Ar pilnu atbildības sajūtu varu to paziņot šodien. Parasti es atceros visas dzimšanas dienas, kāzu jubilejas, kristību datumus un tā tālāk. Šoreiz es esmu kaut ko palaidis garām. Izrādās, ka 2004. gada novembra 11. laikam datumā šajā vietā notika pirmā Zinātnes kafejnīca, ko organizēja Latvijas Universitāte. Vai jums tas kaut ko izsaka, ko? Ja es saku, ka tas bija 2004. gadā, tas nozīmē, ka mēs varam šodien nosvinēt Zinātnes kafejnīcas 10 gadu jubileju. Jukukuku! Es izstāstīšu, kā mēs svinēsim. Visus šos 10 gadus par Zinātnes kafejnīcas organizēšanu atbildīga ir bijusi Ligita. Ligita, Liepiņa, nāc šurp! Redz, kā ir. Un, ja nebūtu Ligitas, nebūtu nekāda Zinātnes kafejnīcas patiesībā, pavisam godīgi. Es dodu tagad mikrofonu Latvijas Universitātes zinātņu prorektoram, profesoram Indriķim Mužniekam. Kurš klusums auditorijā?
Sveiciens visiem pirms 10 gadiem, gandrīz pirms 10 gadiem mēs visi bijām šeit un man liekas runājam par ģenētiski modificētiem organismiem un tā nebija viss vienkārši pirmā Zinātnes kafejnīca Latvijas Universitātei, tā bija pirmā Zinātnes kafejnīca Latvijā. Un liels paldies, Ligita, ka tu esi to visu izturējusi. Puķis mums ir tikai 9, bet uz to 10. tev vēl būs jāpacenšās un jāpastrādā. Ligita, paldies tev! Un tāpat šitos 10 gadus mums nepārtraukti mudina uzdod jautājumus Juris Steinbergs, kurš ir mums dvēselē un garā radinieks un visādi citādi mīļš, jo viņš ir biologs un molekulāri biologs un vispār ļoti jauks. Un viņš parasti mums dāvina krūzītes, šoreiz mēs uzdāvināsim vienu krūzīti ar universitātes zieģeli arī Jurim. Lūdzu. Ja jau kafejnīca, tad lai ir no kā dzert. Paldies! Un tūtiņ arī. Paldies!
Paldies, paldies! Redz, kā es pats arī uzprasījos uz dāvanu. Šitādas krūzītes man vēl nav. Nu jā, tas bija liriskais ievads. Tātad 10 gadus jau pastāv Zinātnes kafejnīca, un es to biju nogulējis. Es tiešām uzzināju to tikai šodien atnācu šurp. Bet šodienas tēma, redz, kur man aiz muguras. Un šodien mums ir īpaša kafejnīca, tāpēc, ka, paskatieties uz to dzelteno plakātu, šobrīd Rīgā notiek Beļģijas dienas. Paceļ rokas visi, kas ir bijuši Beļģijā. Daudzi. Par godu šodienas kafejnīcai, ko arī atbalsta Beļģijas vēstniecība, tur uz bāra letes ir īsts beļģu alus. Stella Artois. Bez maksas, kā tas ir Zinātnes kafejnīcā pieņemts. Tātad visi, kas grib, var iet un cienāties, kas nedzer alu, var dabūt sulu vai kādu citu atsprindzinošu dzērienu. Bet stāsts šodien ir par viedajām pilsētām, smart cities. Runas būs gan latviešu, gan angļu valodā. Mēs mēģināsim nodrošināt arī tulkojumu tajā vai citā virzienā. Kā ir ar auditoriju? Vai paceļ rokas tie, kas angliski saprot? Pa lielam. Yeah, who understands English? Raise your hands. Well, and then we definitely have people who do not understand Latvian. Yeah, some of them. So we need a transmission interpreter, and we've got one. Perfect. Tā, schēma tātad ļoti vienkārši. Tie, kas nezina, kā darbojās Zinātnes kafejnīca, mēs uzaicinām ekspertus, viņi uzstājas ar priekšlasījumiem, kad viņi beidz, mēs aplaudējam, un kad visi ir nolasījuši, sasēdinām viņus tur augšā, iedodam mikrofonu un apberam ar jautājumiem. Viss, kas jums ienāk prātā par to, ko jūs esat dzirdējuši, redzējuši uz ekrāna, pirms tam varbūt izdomājuši, vai kas ir iešāvies prātā klausoties prezentācijas, droši, bez kautrēšanās, ir unikāla iespēja satikt dzīvus ekspertus šajā konkrētajā jomā un ar viņiem brīvā atmosfērā dzerot beļģu alu parunāties. Ja? Tāda ir tā schēma. Jautājums uzdod paceļot roku, un es, kā balerīna, pietipinu klāt ar mikrofonu, cenšoties nevienu nepalaist garām, kā saka. Labi, dāmas un kungi, mēs, lai nevilktu garumā, es varu pieteikt mūsu pirmo runātāju. Un mūsu pirmā runātāja ir no Beļģijas, no uzņēmuma Smart Grids Flanders, viņa ir šī uzņēmuma direktore, un par viedo pilsētu filozofiju būs viņas priekšlasījums. Viņu sauc Heidi Lenerts. Saņemiet Heidiju ar aplausiem. Heidi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Labdien. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your interest in smart cities. I'll try to tell you in the next 10 to 15 minutes something more about a realization and the drivers for smart grids and smart cities. Smart grids seen as the energy part of the smart city.
Jā, labvakar, godātie klātesošie. Ļoti liels prieks, ka esat sapulcējušies šeit un esat izrādījuši interesi par viedajām pilsētām. Mans uzdevums līdz ar to ir nākamajās 10-15 minūtēs jums izstāstīt, ko nozīmē šī te gudro jeb viedo pilsētu pieeja, ko nozīmē gudrie jeb viedie elektrotīkli.
So, why is our energy system changing and why will it change further in the future? That's because mainly three things you could say, and that's the policy. We made the choice as a society to go for more renewables, for a more sustainable environment. This is an example of that, as you can read also, and maybe I can let you tell it.
Jā, un ja mēs runājam par to, kādēļ tika izstrādāta šāda jauna metode, viedo tīklu, viedo pilsētu metode, tad tam ir pārsvarā trīs iemesli. Pirmām kārtām, pirmais iemesls ir politisks iemesls. Eiropā ir pieņemta politika attiecībā uz enerģētikas sektoru, un šeit īsumā ir aprakstīts arī šīs te enerģētikas politikas saturs. Būtībā īsos vārdos to pārstāstot, galvenais uzsvars tiek likts uz atjaunojamiem energoresursiem un plašāk to izmantot.
So next to the policy, the choice that we made, we have also seen that the energy production, the electricity production becomes more and more renewable and also more and more decentralized. So in the past we had the big power plants at high voltage, far away or very centralized at a few locations in Belgium. And now we see lots of households, apartments, small, medium buildings, all with solar panels on it. That's very nice, but that makes a new challenge for the grid infrastructure. The system operator has to cope with it. They has to interact on another way with the production and demand of energy. It's not only solar, but it's also windmills, onshore and also offshore. In the sea, there is also an installation of lots of wind energy. And we also have CHPs, as called combined heat and power production, where the heat is heat production and the power is electricity production.
Tāpat tās ir mainījies arī veids, kā tiek saražota elektroenerģija. Arvien vairāk un vairāk elektroenerģijas ražošanā tiek izmantot atjaunojamie, jeb reģenerējamie energoresursi. Tāpat tās arī enerģijas ražošana ir kļuvusi daudz decentralizētāka. Agrākajos laikos mums bija lielas elektrostacijas, kas atradās attālākās vietās no pilsētām, kurās pārsvarā tad arī tika saražot mājasaimniecībām, jeb mājām, un tāpat tās arī komercplatībām, komercēkām nepieciešamā strāva. Mūsdienās savukārt tātad mājasaimniecību, ja tā var teikt, līmenī ir iespējams jau arī pašiem ražot, iegūt šo te nepieciešamo elektroenerģiju uz mājām, tiek izvietot saules kolektori, kas tātad šo te saules enerģiju pārvērš elektroenerģijā, un tas, protams, spiež infrastruktūras operators, infrastruktūras apsaimniekotājs un uzturētājs arī pārveidot šo te elektroenerģijas sadalas sistēmu, ņemot vērā to, ka tātad šie te ražošanas metodas ir mainījušās. Tāpatās, protams, ir parādījušies arī jaunas elektroenerģijas iegūs metodas, ja veidi, ir vēja enerģija, mums ir vēja parki gan jūrā, tātad gan arī uz sauszemes. Tāpatās arvien populārāks un populārāks kļūst koģenerācijas stacijas, kas vienlaicīgi var ražot ne tikai elektroenerģiju, bet arī siltumenerģiju.
In electricity, as the grid cannot store electricity at the moment, it always has to be in balance. The production and the supply has to be in balance, has to be the same. And the measurement or the reference parameter for that is the 50 hertz. That's in Europe, it's 50, in America and in Japan it's 60 hertz, but that's a reference for the stability, the quality of the grid. How much the supply and demand of electricity is in balance or going in unbalance. Classical production sites, then it was always the production that has to follow the consumption profile. So we could say we had a flexible generation, and demand was king, was dominating what was happening with the generation. Since we have more renewables, more wind production is only active when the wind is blowing. Sun production, photovoltaics, are only active when the sun is shining. We can't control them, we can't say when they have to be active, so we have to look for other possibilities, other solutions to keep the grid in balance. So we are also looking at balance in consumption side and also looking for solutions regarding storage of energy.
Nu, un tāpat tās ir jāpastāv, ja runa ir par elektroenerģijas ražošanu un patēriņu, ir jābūt līdzsvaram tātad starp saražotās enerģijas apjomu un patērētās enerģijas apjomu. Nu, parasti tātad šī te elektroenerģija tiek piegādāta 50 Hz frekvencē Eiropā, 60 Hz frekvencē Japānā, un, protams, ka šim te patēriņam ir jāatbilst saražotajam apjomam, citiem vārdiem sakot, saražot vairāk nekā tiek patērēts, nav īsti jēgas. Tāpatās arī ņemot vērā to, ka ir mainījušies enerģijas ražošanas veidi, ir parādījusies vēja enerģija, tāpatās arī plašāk tiek izmantot arī saules enerģija, ir nepieciešams arī ņemt vērā tātad šos te alternatīvos elektroenerģijas avotus un attiecīgi ņemt tos vērā, mēģinot izlīdzināt, tātad jeb saskaņot, pieskaņojot šo te saražoto apjomu patēriņam. Tāpatās ir, protams, arī nepieciešams domāt, ko darīt gadījumos, kad tātad šie te saražotie apjomi pārsniedz patēriņu, kā uzglabāt tātad šo te elektroenerģiju, tāpatās arī kā uzglabāt šo te siltumenerģiju.
A pilot project that is looking for flexibility for shiftable demand of electricity on residential level is Linear. Linear is a pilot project where in total 250 households were involved and engaged. They are located in Brussels, center of Brussels is here, and we had a group of people involved around Mechelen, so 30 kilometers from Brussels, and also on other parts in Belgium. We have them concentrated and also dispersed over the region with different scopes, different goals.
Lai nodrošinātu šo te līdzsvaru starp saražotajiem apjomiem un patēriņu, tātad elektroenerģijas apgādes uzņēmumiem ir jābūt pietiekami elastīgiem. Viens no projektiem, kas kā reizi tātad strādā pie šādas elastīgas elektroapgādes sistēmas izveidas, ir lineāra projekts. Beļģijā realizētā šī te eksperimentālā projekta daļa aptvēra 250 mājasaimniecības, kas atradās gan Briselē, gan Mehelenā, gan arī citās Beļģijas vietās, un tātad šīs te mājasaimniecības gan bija koncentrētas atsevišķos rajonos, gan arī vairāk izkaisītas pa citu teritoriju, bet tātad šī te projekta ietvaros kā reiz tika strādāts tātad ar šīm te elastīgas, jeb manevrēt spējīgas elektroapgādes sistēmas izveidas jautājumiem.
What is done in linear is first of all a year of reference measurement at different households. As I was also part of this project in the beginning, it was possible for me to see my energy use on appliance level, how much energy it was consuming when. So for example, when I had a newborn baby, I could see a week afterwards when I got up during the night to feed him, because I saw the lights going on, the microwave going on, and it was quite frightening to get interaction with your own energy behavior, what you could learn, read about electricity, about your life.
Protams, kā jebkurā projektā ir nepieciešams, ja tā var teikt, iegūt šos te atskaites, jeb sākumu datus, un tas pirmais gads tad arī kļuva par to atskaites datu, kur ietvaros mājasaimniecību līmenī, tātad tika fiksēti dati par to, cik katra mājasaimniecības ierīce, tātad sadzīves elektronika, patērē daudz elektroenerģijas, un es arī piedalījos šajā projektā, arī mans enerģijas patēriņš, elektroenerģijas patēriņš tika fiksēts, un kā reiz sakrit, ka šis te atskaites gads bija tas gads, kad bija jārūpējās par jaundzimušo bēbīti, tātad par šo te mazuli, un, protams, bija jāceļās naktī, bija jāslēdz gaismu, bija jāizmanto mikroviļņu krāsnes, lai sildītu tātad šo te pienu, jeb barību bērnam, un līdz ar to tas viss tika tātad šī te projekta ietvaros fiksēts manā elektroenerģijas patēriņa, tādā kā atskaitē, un no vienas puses bija interesanti, no otras puses bija nedaudz biedējoši redzēt arī, tā teikt, uz dēlnas, kāds īsti ir mans elektroenerģijas patēriņš.
So, which were the appliances that were measured that were also dishwashers, tumble dryers, washing machines, freezers, television, everything was monitored, measured as how you'd like, and those appliances were controlled in the end. They react on signals from the price or from the platform we are. The starting remotely controlled.
Līdz ar to šī projekta ietvaros, ja tajā atskaites gadā tika fiksēti elektroenerģijas patēriņa rādītāji tādām sadzīves elektronikas iekārtām kā trauku mazgājamā mašīna, veļas žāvētājs, veļas mašīna, leduskapis, televizors. Tālākajā posmā jau savukārt pamatojoties uz šiem te patēriņa rādītājiem, izmantojot šo te lineāru sistēmu, jeb attālinātās vadības sistēmu, tika kontrolēta attiecīgi šo te iekārtu darbību, lai nodrošinātu optimālu enerģijas patēriņu.
So some of those appliances were put in a readiness state by the end user, just saying by the end user, you have to be finished by 12 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then the system could choose whenever it started, just it had to be finished on time. You can also do that with a late start, but the new thing in linear is that the system is saying when it's most efficient for the grid, for the electricity production, to do it at what time.
Un līdz ar to šim te lietotājiem faktiski bija jānosaka, teiksim, laiks, līdz kuram attiecīgajai iekārtai ir jāpaveic tā uzticētais darbs. Piemēram, ir iespējams uzstādīt, tātad ar šo te attālinātās sistēmas palīdzību ir iespējams uzstādīt tātad šos te uzstādījumus, kam, teiksim, veļai jābūt izmazgātai līdz nākamās dienas 12, teiksim. Tāpatās bija iespējams arī noteikt laiku, kurā šī te iekārta ieslēdzās, un tātad šī te ieslēgšanās notika automātiskā režīmā, pamatojoties uz tīkla noslodzi konkrētajā brīdī. Citiem vārdiem sakot, šī te lineāra attālinātās vadības kontrolas sistēma pati izvēlējās vislabāko brīdi, tātad no sadalas tīkla noslodzes viedokļa, kurā ieslēgt attiecīgo mājasaimniecības ierīci.
Another innovative concept that is tested out is the electric vehicle. The electric vehicle has a big battery, and that's kind of a storage of electricity, you could say. You only have to be ready to leave for 100-kilometer drive, for example, when you have to leave. So you have most of the time a car standing still for more than 90% of the time. So you have 90% of a day or a week of a month to charge the car. So it's big flexibility.
Nu, un tāpatās ir iespējams arī tātad šo te vadāmo no attāluma vadāmo iekārtu sarakstā iekļaut arī, piemēram, elektromobīļus. Protams, ir zināms, ka elektromobīļiem, akumulatoriem ir nepieciešama uzlāde, un ar elektromobīļiem ir iespējams nobraukt attālums līdz pat 100 kilometriem. Bet lielāko daļu laika, teiksim, kāds 90% no laika, kamēr jūs nebraucat, faktiski tātad šī te automašīna netiek izmantota, 90% no nedēļas, mēneša vai, teiksim, gada, rēķiniet, kādā griezumā vēlties, bet lielākoties tātad šīs te iekārtas būtībā stāv neizmantotas, un, protams, ka tās arī ir nepieciešams laiku pa laikam lādē.
There was also decentralized production in the project with a total of 400 kilowatt peak solar panels installed over 94 houses. There were 2,000 sub-metering plugs, so 2,000 times a meter data comes into the system every 15 minutes. That's a huge amount of data where the system has to take care of, where the system has to handle in an intelligent way to do something with it afterwards.
Tāpatās arī šajā projektā tika izmantot arī alternatīva elektroenerģijas avoti, kā piemēram šie te saules kolektori. Kopskaitā 94 mājās tika uzstādīti 400 kW jaudīgi saules kolektori. Tāpatās arī tika izmantoti tātad šie 2000 šie te mērītāji, kas uzskaitīja tātad, jeb apkopoja šos te datus, kas tika nosūtīti no pētījumā iekļautajām mājām, jeb mājasaimniecībām. Tātad šī te sistēma ik pēc 15 minūtēm saņēma tātad šos te datus no skaitītāja, elektroenerģijas skaitītāja, kas tika attiecīgi tad arī uzglabāti šajā sistēmā. Un tas datu apjoms ir visnotaļ iespaidīgs.
This is a kind of how the network was built, but in the next presentation you will see more details about this.
Un šeit jūs varat redzēt schematiski, kā šī sistēma darbojās, bet tāds plašāks izklāsts šai sistēmai būs nākamajā prezentācijā.
This is also a picture. It was in real houses. It was not only in labs. It were real houses, real appliances, real loadings of the washing machines, the dishwashers.
Un, lai parādītu jums, ka tas tiešām nebija tāds eksperimentāls projekts, kas norisinājās tikai laboratorijā, šeit jums arī ir bildīts no reāls mājas, tātad, kurā tika tātad šī sistēma arī izmantota, uzstādīta. Šeit jūs redzat arī dažādas iekārtas, kas darbojās, kas radīja attiecīgas slodzes tātad, un patērēja elektroenerģiju.
This is an overview of how many appliances of which kind were involved. So we see we have domestic hot water buffers 9 and 7 in total, so 16. More than 200 washing machines, more than almost 200 tumble dryers. So there were lots of flexibility possibilities that were offered to the system.
Un šeit jūs redzat savukārt, cik tātad eksperimentā tika izmantotas dažādas iekārtas un cik eksperimentā piedalījās arī dažādi dalībnieki. Šeit jūs varat, piemēram, redzēt arī, ka tātad siltā ūdens kolektora izmantotais skaits tātad ir 9, 126 veļas mašīnas, 116 žāvētāji.
A thing that is missing in this project, you could say, is our freezers and refrigerators. Those machines are offering a huge amount of flexibility because it's only storage of cold, cold. But that was because of safety issues and risks not taken into account in this project.
Nu, un šajā projektā, kā jūs redzat, šajā nelielajā atskaitītē nav iekļauta leduskapji, piemēram, lai gan, ja mēs runājam par leduskapju darbināšanu un apgādi ar nepieciešamo elektroenerģiju, tad šeit ir iespējams to izdarīt ļoti elastīgā veidā. Nu, iemesls, kādēļ mēs neiekļāvām šajā atskaitē šos te leduskapi rādītājus, ir tāds, ka drošības apsvērumu dēļ, tātad, lai netraucētu, ja tā var teikt, to leduskapu darbību, mēs tad nemēģinājām tos attālināti kontrolēt, darbināt.
And with those things, we saw already that it's possible to give auxiliary services to the grid, and that's a huge improvement in research level already. So we hope it will also be rolled out in a broader way.
Nu, un šī pētījuma gaitā mēs secinājām to, ka šādā veidā attālināti kontrolējot dažādu mājsaimniecības iekārtu darbību, mēs varam būtiski optimizēt sadals tīklu izmantojumu, un, protams, ka ir iespēja arī plašāk izmantot šo te programmatūru, tātad šīs te metodas arī nākotnē.
Paldies for your attention.
Paldies par uzmanību.
Paldies, Heidijai. Thank you very much. So, I'm sure there will be a lot of questions concerning the outcome of this project, the results and the conclusions drawn from the data. Kā tur ir auditorija? Vajag, lai lektori teikto tulko uz latviešu valodu? Nevajag, ja? So, actually, if the expert is speaking English, we'll skip the Latvian translation, okay? Maybe we'll do it the other way around. When somebody speaks Latvian, we would like to ask you to do the interpretation for our Belgian colleagues. So, our next speaker is, you already saw, I guess, a company mentioned on the screen, Fifth Play. And it is Dirk de Tey. He's the project director from Fifth Play. Dirk, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and to give our presentation. Let me put me here. Yeah. Okay. So Fifth Play is a commercial company working on different domains on level of services to customers, and customers can be consumers, but can also be retail companies, utilities, and other partners. So what do we want to achieve? As we have a mother company who is delivering electrotechnical material for using in the home, we want to improve on that and be able to offer services for improving the quality of the people's life. And we offer for that solutions for energy management in the house, but also for elderly people, health and patient monitoring, and of course comfort. How do we do it? We have built a platform for service partners, which mainly consists of two major parts. First of all, we have an internet or a cloud platform that most of you will have heard of. And we also have a platform, a hardware box, that we put in every home or in every building, and that we can connect to the different appliances in the home or in the building. The Linear project was a big learning school for us for that, because we invested a lot in the technology to put into the homes. And the technology itself is rather easy when you do it in the lab environment. Once you starting in live houses, in live situations, then you encounter some problems. And we have worked hard with our academic partners in Linear to really be able to build amongst that a successful project. The aim is also to keep technology as much away from the consumers as possible, meaning it should be really plug-and-play installable without being to be an ICT expert to get everything running. In the back end of our internet cloud platform, we are able to connect to platform of the service providers that want to deliver services to the consumer or to the building. A couple of examples: if you are a doctor or you are a hospital, you want to follow up a patient and you want to do telemonitoring to measure blood pressure or heart monitoring, we can deliver the technology to feed back the information, the measurements in the home to the hospital or to the doctor. If you are a utility and you want to see what your consumers are doing in order to be able to give them a nice tariff or other services, it's important to know, to see how they are using their energy in the home. So, as you see, on the gateway, we are able to connect different appliances from boilers, thermostats, smart meters, but also the telemonitoring services at the home. Our main partners, if we talk about energy, are the utilities. And as we speak, we have over here our main partner in Belgium with us. So I'm going to invite Mr. Erik Daas to take over a couple of minutes and to explain to you what they, as a utility, have done with our technology for their consumers, for their customers.
Thanks, Erik. Good evening, everybody. My name is Erik Daas. Okay, fine. My name is Erik Daas, and I'm Innovation Manager for GDF Suez in the Business Unit Energy Europe. A few years ago, for being correct, in 2010, my boss asked me to do something more for the end customer as an energy supplier than only give him the bill. So we have, together with FIFPlay, done some innovation on that, and we are giving the end customer a smart energy box. What is a smart energy box? A smart energy box gives you insight in the energy in the home, but also gives you facilities on that. So, we make 10 commands to help our end customer on the energy in home, but also the facility on that. I highlight 2 of them. Help our customers to reduce energy consumption, but also deliver on green mobility, the energy on green mobility, like the electrical vehicles. So we have also developed some products for driving electrical, but I will highlight just the smart energy box on that. So, smart products are a new technology at the service of our end customers. Smart products can be a car plug for the electrical driver, but also the smart plugs and the smart thermostat. So when you see a new smart home ecosystem, we will see some parts of them, they are very important. Not only the smart meter, who is connected to the smart grid, but also we will see renewable energy like the solar panels, electrical car, but also smart appliances in the home. So on that, we are not the only one. A lot of suppliers are in the market to give more service to the end customers who will using energy on that. So Electrabel GDF Suez is not the only one. So we have developed the smart energy box, you see on top of them, but also the smart thermostat with the multi-zoning or a single zoning to help our customers to give more insight in the energy. So what are the 4 key benefits of the smart energy box? First of all, monitoring the online energy consumption for electrical appliances. Not only that, but second point is control your appliances at distance. Give your insight on your energy consumption, but also control at distance. You have the possibility to program it on, or off, so you can switch it on or off at distance. And also, you can retrieve alerting on that if there is some things unusual happening at home. I give you a few slides on that. Also, smart apps, so you have control at distance. You can do scheduling of your on-off systems when you are going on vacation or that, and give you an online alerting. On the other side, on the heating, we have the possibility to have a different heating in the different rooms. So you can have comfort, but also you have control on the other rooms. And we see here on lifestyles, so when you have the plugs and you have the thermostat, we can offer you also lifestyle. What is a lifestyle? A lifestyle can be, I'm coming home. So the home will welcome you on the level of energy, on the level of supporting. So your home is heating before you are coming home. Also have the possibility to say, I'm going on vacation or I'm leaving my home. If I'm leaving my home, if I put the thermostat down, you can see it at distance. I will give you some examples. Can you give me the last one, please? The last one. We have also done a commercial for our end customer as a supplier, because it's not only giving some, offering some solutions, but you must aiming them.
Check that mic, boy.
Weet u waar al uw energie naartoe gaat? Met de Smart Energy Box van Electrabel controleert u uw elektrische toestellen en hun verbruik, zelfs van op afstand. De Smart Energy Box. Ga slimmer om met energie.
I will give you the second example. Please, can you put the first one? Just to give some examples what a commercial can be for the end customer.
Weet u waar al uw energie naartoe gaat? Met de Smart Thermostat van Electrabel regelt u makkelijk uw verwarming, zelfs van op afstand. De Smart Thermostat, nu voor maar €99, installatie inbegrepen.
Then giving products and services for your end customers. Also, you must take him away with your storage and say, okay, we are using a dog. But everybody is thinking at his children, what they are doing at home when you are at work. Thank you.
Thank you, Erik. Okay. So Heidi already explained our involvement in the linear project. Maybe just one more slide on it. So in fact what happened is that our academic partners were in fact playing the role of the utility, sending different tariffs and actions the appliances in the different homes had to fulfill, or taking the feedback from their customers. And so they communicate to our platform, and we were then driving all the applications and all the appliances into the home. Okay. Now, this is all nice technology that allows a lot of technical things to be achieved, but what's in it for the customer? Or how do we make sure that the customer is not overwhelmed by this technology, and that this energy management is becoming part of his daily life? For that, we have developed a platform and trying to bring, in fact, all the different services that the consumer is confronted with during his normal daily life into, in fact, his environment. And for that, we have created a platform which is called Nuvonet, which is bringing a number of daily experiences like shopping, like making appointments with a doctor, we're checking when the garbage will be picked up and everything in one web interface that can be used from a smartphone, from a tablet, from a computer. And energy control is just one part of that. Now, since we're running out of time, I'm going to quickly go through the following slides, but just to give an idea. We can connect shops on the platform, which allow them to have very simple web shops where a customer can buy online and pick up the goods at their local shop instead of the big distribution malls. And when they're picking up, in fact, the goods that they have ordered, everything is already ready and they have time to have some social talk and not being in a rush to discuss, to pick up the goods. So making appointments to the doctor, doing checkup when the garbage will be collected and planning, and also look in fact at your daily consumption and if everything is working okay. So we really make sure that energy, which as such is not a very sexy thing, it will never be a sexy thing, is still something to be checked up on. Okay? So what's the benefit for the citizens? You get access to your local information that you need during the day, during your life. You can easily shop in your local environment. You are always in the loop of what the city wants to bring to you as a citizen. And you control the information that you want, because you can say, I'm subscribing to this information and this information I do not wish to receive. And last but not all, it's a service that we offer for free at the cities, so that they can offer these kind of services for free at their citizens. So really to enable, in fact, these technologies to be used by service providers to their end users, but for the consumer it should be a natural service and not something they would have to pay for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That sounds really interesting, and yeah, I guess Eric will have a question about something like that. Do you have any troubles with the organization People for Ethical Treatment of Animals or similar organizations due to your commercials? Okay. Thank you so much, our Belgian colleagues. Now we have to give the microphone to locals, to Latvians. And we have a company of them. Mums ir 3 runātāji no mūsu pašu universitātes Geogrāfijas un Zemzinātņu fakultātes. Kā jūs darīsiet, tad jūs nāksiet laikam visi 3 vai pa vienam šurpes. Aicinu pie mikrofona tagad asociēto profesoru Pēteru Šķiņķi. Tāpat mums ir arī ainavu arhitekte un pilsētu plānotāja Helēna Gūtmane. Un mums ir Gido Seki, arī pilsētu plānotājs no universitātes un no kompānijas TCD Consulting. Pēter, tad mikrofons jums, lūdzu.
I'm not so smart using this smart technology, therefore I give it to Guido. So there we are, planners. In the morning, we already started our discussions and we tried to figure out the common understanding of smartness. And now we will see the difference in our understandings. And in our discussion, it will be a really challenge to find the common ground and to see if it's possible at all. So, smart city, smart specialization, smart development, smart community, smartphone, smart boys, smart girls, so much of smartness on all of these uses of the word have different meanings. What is smart?
Can we switch the roles? Yes. Yeah, well, the adjective smart has been applied as a label in the last decades mainly to two different subjects in regional and urban planning and regional development studies among scientists, professionals, and so on, which is the city and the regional specialization. Now, well, we may go on and come back to this slide later. Well, the two concepts are linked between each other, but the surprising thing is that they haven't been connected very much in theoretical and conceptual elaboration. However, well, we can define smart city, the concept of smart city, as being born out of the empirical evidence of the enormous impact of ICT infrastructure development on productivity in US cities. Therefore, the smart city label is applied to those urban contexts in which developed information systems are used as decision-making support tools in real time. Some years later, the adjective has been applied to regional policies in order to identify industrial specialization strategies based on endogenous factors of competitiveness. We can go on, I think. Well, as I was mentioning before, the surprising thing is the lack of real theoretical reflection, conceptual elaboration, theoretical elaboration with regard to what is common to these two concepts, which are basically being used in an independent way. Well, however, these concepts, well, share several features. Both have been inspired by the impact of ICTs on productivity growth. And both started out as a concept based on industrial initiative, and they then evolved to a concept which is related to the local features of a region or a city in a holistic sense. Well, something like moving from industrial economics to regional economics or economic geography in the broad sense of the word. So we might say that this shift has caused an evolution of the definition of smartness towards a higher complexity and an inclusion in the concept of several other dimensions next to the ICT diffusion and technological innovation. Another thing that we should mention is that actually the few studies which have investigated the issue, well, the few empirical studies which have investigated the issue, well, have found out empirical evidence that smart specialization strategies meant in this broad, holistic sense and the emergence of smart cities, once again in a broad sense, seems to go together in several regions of Europe, in several NUTS regions of Europe. Well, a few words about smart specialization. Smart specialization in its traditional sense is meant as concentrating resources on the most promising areas of comparative advantage. This is traditional, but for EU policy will be quite revolutionary, considering the shift between theory and practice. So the main tenets of the concept are specialization, creation of a large research and innovation area, and let's say enhancing a sort of bottom-up process in order to discover appropriate specializations of the region. Then there can be a distinction between research-intensive regions which generate new knowledge and innovation-intensive regions which concentrate on applying new knowledge. One important thing that has already been emphasized in the, let's say, original definition is the role of governance, the role of regional governments in concentrating public available resources to the promising areas of specialization and facilitating cooperation between actors. In a more, let's say, sophisticated way, which shift the emphasis from hard to soft factors, I will quote here New Zealand expert and academic Philip McCann and, well, the former Minister of Regional Development of Italy, Fabrizio Barca. Well, according to the words of these two scholars, the smart specialization concept is essentially a concept based on knowledge and learning, local knowledge and, let's say, promotion of learning. Well, this implies the engagement of a mobilization, I will say. I will call it cognitive mobilization of all local actors and institutions, from entrepreneurs to, NGOs to local institutions and so on, universities and so on. This is related to two factors: the effectiveness of combining different sources of context-specific knowledge, the experience and the knowledge of the different actors. Well, the second aspect is in the case of, let's say, regional and urban economy, the fact that economic factors and economic initiative is highly interdependent, thinking, for instance, about the real estate development, and the social impact is extremely high. Well, coordination between economic actors and institutions is definitely required. One of the, we can come back, and we can come back to the first scheme. So, in this sense, we can consider smart planning, smart city planning and smart specialization as two sides of the same coin, which concur in defining, elaborating smart development strategies. A very beneficial effect is that attractiveness of investment is based on sustainable factors. And therefore, this can also help to select, let's say, good investment from speculative investment, for instance. This is very actual in Latvia, I will say. Now we can move to the methodology that we started elaborating on behalf of Riga Planning Region recently on the basis of our theoretical framework elaboration. Maybe you'd like to say something about this, or
I don't think that it's so important to go deep in this methodology. I would like to sum up our ideas, the technologies. You all were speaking in the morning, you all were speaking today, and we feel that it's quite different with what we are doing somehow. You're thinking about people in terms of users and consumers. We are thinking about people in terms of inhabitants and also stakeholders. They live with us together. So we are going, And we found research done in Wien which speaks about 6 factors of smart city. That is You can read it, the smart economy, smart people, smart governance, smart mobility, smart environment, and smart living, from which smart governance, smart living, smart environment, it is very essential. And I think one of you was speaking about necessity to reach people individually. Yeah, I think you were speaking about that. So, and smart society, smart environment, and smart living, plus smart mobility and smart governance will bring to the smart economy, not vice versa. And me and Sabine, one of our researchers, we were yesterday or day before yesterday in one of the municipalities in Olaine, and on the way back, after the discussion with the locals, we understood there was interesting difference between smart and smart. So do you remember in the morning we were speaking about intelligence versus empathy? So you are busy with the intelligence, we are busy with empathy, more with empathy. And we were thinking maybe it is smart and wise, because in Latvian we are translating it like vieda. Vieda, gudra is smart, but vieda is wise. So that is something you can go further. So there are some more indicators. We will not stop on them. If you want, we can, who is interested, we can give these indicators further. And now I will give the microphones to Petris Čintis, and he will try to explain how this wiseness, we will try to bring into the policies on the regional level.
Es tēlošu vietējo un runāšu latviski. Bija runa par to, ka abās valodās. To, ko kolēģi man patās stāstīja par pieeju, tad tas ir tas, kas ir turpinājums, ko mēs iesākām apmēram gadu atpakaļ, un runa ir par reģionu plānošanu. Tas ir Rīgas plānošanas reģions, un tie divi tādi formālie dokumenti, kas tiek izstrādāti, ir ilgspējīgas attīstības stratēģija un attīstības programma. Bet pēc būtības ir runa par to, kā reģionam, Latvijai kopumā, mēs sakam, ka Rīgas reģions ir arī būtībā pati Latvija, un viss, kas notiek jauns, notiek noteikti pirmām kārtām Rīgas reģionā. Otrs, mums ir skaidrs, ka mēs esam vairāk kā 30 gadus runājuši par ilgspējīgu attīstību, bet tādā tīri praktiskā risinājuma viedokļa līmenī mums ir ļoti grūti ar kaut ko ļoti konkrētu, ar īstenojumu, ar iegūmu, ar pienesumu tieši teritoriju nozīmē. Tieši pilsētu, ciemu, pašvaldību teritoriju, vienalga par ko ir runa, bet tikko ir runa par konkrētu noteikti līmeni, tad risinājumiem, viņi paliek varbūt tādā konceptuālā līmenī. Un tas, ko mēs stratēģijā mēģinājām ielikt pilnīgi no jauna, un tur, kur mēs tas galvenokārt meklējām, tas, kas Rīgas reģionā un Latvijā nav, bet kur tas iekšējais potenciāls ārkārtīgi liels, tas būtībā ir divas lietas. Te ir krietni vairāk, ko jūs redziet izklājumā. Tie ir Rīgas reģiona strateģiskie uzstādījumi, kam atbilstoši dokumentam ir tās būtiskie elementi, sākot no vīzijas, vispārīgie mērķi atbilstoši, ilgspējīgas attīstības stratēģijas, galvenām dimensijām, ekonomiskai, sociālai un vides. Bet tā galvenā ir tā idejas nesējas struktūra, jeb tas karkas, ir prioritātes, ja, tad tās būtībā ir tās galvenās tēmas, tās ir 8 ilglaika reģiona attīstībai, uz kā reģiona attīstībai paredzams balstīt. Vispār tur varētu teikt, ka tās ir 7, un 8. ir vieda attīstība, kas būtībā aptver visas pārējās, jeb integrē pārējās. Tās ir tās prioritātes, un to uzskaitījumā es neapstāšos. Tā ir tā dokumentu valoda un būtībā tā idejas formulēšanas valoda. Bet tas apmēram pirms vairāk kā gadu. To, ko Helēna un Kidona parās stāstīja par viedas attīstību sapratni, tad to mēs formulējām stratēģijā gada apakaļ. Tā ir daļa no vīzijas formulējuma. Tad runa ir par zināšanu, par praktisko zināšanu pielietojumu, par telpas līmeņiem, par māju, ko beļģu kolēģi iezīmēja tādā tehnoloģiskā nozīmē. Tas noteikti ir mobilitāte, tā ir arī sadarbība, un tā ir jūtīgums pret no vidas vērtībām un tās izmantošana tādā, ilgspējīgā nozīmē. Stratēģija arī definēja, kas ir viedas attīstība un runa ir par kvalitātēm. Kopumā mēs arī teicām, ka stratēģija ir runa par pirmām kārtām par kvalitāti. Mums ir nepieciešams nākotnē veidot gudru kvalitāti, jaunveidu kvalitāti un noteikti raisīt to, mēs sakām, mēs esam gudri, bet mūsu gudrība neizpaužās bieži tādā praktiskos risinājumos, jeb rīcībās, jeb tās īstenošanā, un mums jādabūna ārā no vietām, teritorijām, no Latvijas kopumā pati radošā darbība. Vieda attīstība ir definēta kā politikas izveidu un īstenošanu viedas attīstības teritorijās un vietās. Tad tas mērogs noteikti ir reģionu līmenī ir politika, jeb politika ir reģionu mērogs, savukārt tā praksa ir jāpanāk teritorijas vietās. Mēs minējām iepriekš, ka tas meklējums ilgspējīgas attīstības virzienā un ilgspējīgas attīstība iedot kaut kādu konkrētu saturu, tad mēs saprotam vieda attīstību pēc būtības, kā īstenojumu elastīgu, aktīvu, noteikti zināšanās, arī tehnoloģiskos risinājumos, inovācijās un tā tālāk balstīt tiešām ilgspējīgas attīstības īstenošanu. Vēl viens būtisks, un par ko otra lieta ir blakus kvalitātei un integrējušai viedai attīstībai, bet uz kā tas viss balstās un ko nes stratēģija, tad tās ir kopienas. Ja tā ir tā trešā varbūt dimensija, kuru ilgspējīgas attīstības īstenošana arī īsti mēs nemākam konkrēti teritoriju līmenī panākt, jeb varbūt pat novērtēt un tad panākt. Un vieda attīstība sākas pašos cilvēkos, spējā sadarboties, izmantot to kopējo zināšanas, kas atrodams mūsos kā cilvēku sadarbības, cilvēcīgā tīklā, un tad tikai sāk darboties dažādas tehnoloģijas, dažādi piemērojumi, sadarbības formas, tīkli, kuri tad tiek šo zināšanu piepildījumu iznes ārā jau kaut kādās efektīvos, gan enerģijas, gan mobilitātes, gan otrreizēju lietu izmantošanā un tā tālāk. Varbūt nedaudz savalkot kopā, ko mēs vairāk mūsu kolēģu pienesumā par viedu attīstību, es gribētu minēt, ka mēs varam noteikti redzēt, ka pasaules praksē ir ir vairākas tādas akcenti, vairākas dimensijas un pieejas, kur to lielāko uzsveru liek vai nu uz ekonomisko viedu attīstību, ekonomiskā izpratnē. Ir citas pieejas, kur balstās uz tehnoloģisku, tad noteikti tikpat nozīmīgi ir arī sociāli. Plānošanas praksē, ja tai mēģinājumā panāk kaut kādus īstenojumu ceļus, jeb atrast tos un uzbūvēt varbūt to algoritmu, kā veidot labāk nākotni kvalitātei, tad tā ir integrēta attīstība un integrēta viedas attīstības pieejas Rīgas reģionā, es ceru arī Latvijā. Vēl, lai varbūt veidot tādu plašāku sapratni par to, un lai panākt varbūt arī Latvijā tādu plašāku un sabiedrībā sakņotu un koordinētāku darbu, tad es gribētu uzsvērt, ka vieda attīstība noteikti nav projekts, ka tā ir politika, tādā policy nozīmē. Un tā ir viena no, manuprāt, praktiskajām ilgspējīgas attīstības īstenošanas praksēm. Tā sakņojas partnerībā, sadarbībā. Noteikti tīkli ir svarīgi, gan cilvēcīgie, tehniskie, un jau veidot tiek arī caur saimniecisko vai ekonomisko darbību. Un vieda attīstība noteikti jaunas kvalitātes, jeb inovācija, jeb jaunpienesuma, jeb attīstības nozīmē, bet tas nenozīmē kā lielumu vai vairāk enerģijas izmantošanu vai efektīvāk, bet kvalitāti no mūsu labūtības viedokļa. Un tas, kas ir nepieciešams un kam mēs tā kā ceram, ka varam uz priekšējot panākt, ir nepieciešama priekšnoteikumi, tie tā izpratne un griba viedas attīstības veidošanā. Tā ir stakeholderu, jeb attīstības dalībnieku ļoti dažādu. Te nav runa tikai par politikas definētājiem, sabiedrību, politiķiem un tam līdzīgi, bet tie ir privātie, tie ir pilsoniskas institūcijas, un tā tālāk. Tā ir policy spēja, māka to īstenot, tīkla pieredze. Un, ja mēs runājam par teritorijām, vietām, tad tas vietējo cilvēku sadarbības spēja, kura ir kā zināšanās, vēlmēs, gribā, pieredzē, un tad arī tehnoloģiskos risinājumus, ko beļu kolēģi briljanti parādīja, kā tas arī var izpausties. Latvijā noteikti ir vairākas teritorijas, kuras ir diezgan gatavas, lai varētu gan formulēt politiku, gan arī to īstenot. Mums Helēnas un Vido projektu pētījumu ietvaros arī ir iesākt kādu no šīm teritorijām. Es domāju, ka tās ir pirmkārt lielās pilsētas, dažas Latvijā, Rīga, Ventspils, varbūt Liepāja, un tās ir noteikti ir ļoti daudzas mazās pilsētas, kuras ir diezgan gatavas, domāju, Talsi vai Jaunpils un tam līdzīgi. Un tie noteikti ir apkaimes un ciemi, kur kopienas ir visnotaļ daudz ieguldījuši šo pamatu izveidojot, to priekšnosacījumu izveidē, ko es pieminēju. Paldies! Tas būtu mans papildinājums no tāda īstenošanas viedokļa iespējām.
Man ļoti patīk, ko Pēteris teica. Viņš teica, ka vieda attīstībā tas nav projekts, tā ir politika. Tātad vai nu mēs esam viedi, vai mēs neattīstāmies, nedzīvojam. No Martīni, no partija.
Paldies, paldies. Thank you. So, the experts have spoken. Dāmas un kungi, es tad aicināšu viņus sēsties tur augšā uz paaugstinājumu. Ja? I would like to invite you to take your seats on the improvised stage. All 6 of you, okay? Yeah. So we have Heidi Lennarts from Smart Grids Flanders. Then we also have Dirk de Tey from Fifth Play. Please take your seats and make yourself comfortable. And why not Erik Dijs, also from GDF Suez, Professor Peter Stintis, and planners Helena Gutmane and Guido Secchi. Do we have enough chairs for everybody? I think so. And there is a mic for your company. Is it on? Yes, it's on. And there's another mic for you guys. And then there's a mic for us. So, I have a couple of gifts to give away. So, the first one asking a question will have a gift, will receive a gift. Lūdzu.
Thank you. I have already asked you that question this morning, but I know it's an annoying question and it goes maybe against the interest of a lot of you sitting there, electricity producers. But everything here is focused on energy saving. So what is in there for Latvianergo? What is in there for Gaz de France Suez, for Electrabel? Because you will be selling less. So your revenue will go down, your profits will go down, your shareholders will not be happy, the value of your shares will go down. We will maybe save because we will save on electricity thanks to all those smart things which I still don't understand. But my question to you is then, what is in there for you as electricity producer? Why are you interested in that we, your clients, consume less?
Who's going to be the brave one?
Is it on? Okay.
Yeah. Jums ir šitās buklets? Nav.
As an energy supplier, the landscape will change. Only commodity selling energy is not enough for a supplier. Because on the commodity, the value of return is not enough because the prices are very low and we are in a challenge in a liberalization of the market. When you have an unbundled market, there are other players who are coming. So the challenge is to give more products and services to the end customers so you have more connection with your end service and more connection with your end customer. 10 years ago, it was just the bill. And they are paying the bill, and that was it. When we see the challenge on saving carbon, on CO2, 2020 is a challenge year. So we must do something for our end customers to saving energy and have the benefit of the bill. That's why we are giving some advice on how is the behavior of the end customers. This morning I have asked the audience, do we know what energy that we are consuming during we are going to sleep? It's a lot of energy that we are still using when we are sleeping. It's the standby of a lot of appliances. So, okay, it's energy that we are deliver at that point. But also we must giving some eye-openers to our end customers for saying, do you know that you are paying for energy when you are sleeping, that it's not necessary? So it's the choice of the end customers to say, okay, I have no problem with that. It's my comfort and my euros in my pocket. And I'm making the choice if I need it to stand by, or maybe I will cut it off and I will have the euros in my pocket. So, I understand your question. What's in it for us when we are saying you must save your energy? Yes, we have less energy to serve to our end customers, but if we are learning and taking hand-to-hand our end customers, we will have more end customers, maybe in a liberalization of the market. So when here in Letland will be more suppliers, you will see the challenge between those suppliers on the level of prices.
Yeah, we are opening the market on the 1st of January next year, as far as I know. So if I get it correctly, you give those smart energy boxes for free to your customers?
No.
What are the expenses then for a household?
For a household, like an energy box, it's around 100 euro. Smart thermostat is around 100 euro. It's almost the price of the boxes themselves. Yeah. But at that point, we have unconnected home. And in a strategy way, unconnected home will be the next challenge for everybody to give some advice or service to the end customers. So when you have a connected home, you have also the connection with your end customer. That's also a strategy behind it.
Uh-huh. Do you remember, dear audience, we had a millionaire here in Latvia who was, it was in the 90s, I think. He was telling stories about his home somewhere in Kurzeme, where he had installed an environmental control system, remotely controlled. He was out there in the Bahamas somewhere, but knowing that he's coming back home in a couple of days, he could switch on or off all the heating devices and make his microclimate suitable for his return. I don't remember his name, but I remember that it was terribly, terribly expensive, the system he had installed. So it's well, maybe not exactly the same you are offering, but something similar. So we have some questions here.
To go on the same path, soft energy path, demand-side management is a not new idea. It started in Rocky Mountain Institute, and there was also the strange negative price, as you know. But if there is no danger of blackouts, who will pay? You say nowadays the energy-saving devices should be paid and the prices are high. So demand-side management in 1996 was, I'll say, defined as impasse by public policy faculty's dean giving a lecture on electricity, on energy policy. Why? I asked, because those who rely on market, who try to sell, will not agree. And that in our language means, while we try to put economics and economy higher as a name and not as a constraint, that is impasse, in my understanding. What's my misunderstanding?
Any comments on that? Okay, thank you. Debbie, laikam jautājums.
Just a very simple question. I understood that your research was done on the purpose to evaluate or estimate, to give some approximate estimate of what the end user's benefit will be of having
this or that appliance connected to this energy saving box. So what are the results of this investigation? So how much I will, how many years I should use this saving box for get some positive balance on my euros in the pocket in the end effect on having this. This is one question. And the other question was, what is the ground of discussion between those two groups? Because one of those Latvian university group is talking about policy, and you're talking about appliances, which of course can be used for every policy, but in end effect there's nothing to discuss in this respect. Policy is fine, theory wonderful, but real solutions, it's another point of view. I really don't see the topic for discussions in this.
Yeah, it was kind of my question too, to Heidi. What exactly is the main purpose of the project you mentioned? What's the outcome?
So first of all, if you do some measurement at homes, people get aware of what they are using so they can act on it. If you don't know what you're using, you can't do anything. You can just guess that it will help. So first of all, we say measurement, then you can act and you do something. And the next thing is when we have more grid or integration of renewable energy all in the distribution grid, so every household has solar panels or whatever, that makes that the grid infrastructure should be strengthened. We should put more copper in the ground to allow all the green energy coming to the grid. We should increase the capacity of the substations because they are not designed to send energy upwards into the grid. In case all the houses in a street on one feeder have solar panels in the southern direction, they all produce solar energy at the same time, with highest efficiency at the same time that nobody is using energy at that moment. So between 12 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, in springtime, when it's quite cold, quite sunny, the efficiency of the solar panels is highest. Then nobody is using energy because they are all outside working. So then you need to invest in the infrastructure in the grid, or you can active demand control to engage the customers or the inhabitants to use energy at that moment. And there you need technology for. And that we are looking for a smart grid to be the most cost-efficient solution for those kind of things.
You are on the grid side, not on the customer side.
Combination. We are looking for the most cost-efficient solution on total cost of ownership. Total cost for a complete lifetime is important.
Okay, thank you. And then there was the next question about what is actually the topic you can agree on, the policymakers and the, let's say, technical part of the problem.
So I understood that Professor has doubt in the usefulness of what we were talking about, that is thinking that it's only theory. Professor, do you remember the film «Ирония судьбы» с легким паром? This film, the old Russian comedy for New Year. Do you remember the Nadia and Zhenya are speaking in the kitchen after he's got out of his drunk condition, and he's saying that he is doctor and she is saying that she is teacher, and they are sharing their experience. And Nadia says, you know, our mistakes maybe not so visible as your mistakes, but as teachers, we are teaching the kids, but they're not less harmful. So.
And I doubt in the usefulness of policy making, I doubt in the possibility of discussion between policymakers and technical people who are just providing solutions which can fit to very different policies.
I think that we all of us are policymakers. Only they're policymakers in their field and technical more visible for people and more touchable. Yeah, touchable. But we are working with the structures which are not so visible for people. They don't eat it, yeah, but they breathe it. That is communication and the way how their life is organized.
And in the movie they had sex at the end, as far as I know. So everybody was happy.
If I can add something, it seems to me very concrete to emphasize that coordination between actors is required in the context of smartness. I will not call it theoretical at all. I think it's very theoretical to separate the technical aspects of planning and service provision and the political aspects. This is really theoretical and this is really abstract.
Okay, Jonas Büchel, Urban Institute here in Riga, and I mean the three last ones there anyway, not only colleagues, closest friends, but they were pointing out excellently the situation of the urbanity and rurality in our country. So since I'm a German, grown up in West Germany, I can understand very much a Belgian or German perspective. Believe me, it is not, I'm sorry to say that, radically adoptable to here. 90% of inhabitants of this country are not living in any infrastructural circumstances which would allow, within the next 5 to 10 years, any kind of those systems that you are talking about in any household. I am probably a little bit more elaborated person in this country. I do have my own biological canalization. I do have my own water access. I do not have access to canalization nor to regular electricity, and I'm living in the sprawl of Riga. So, you know, this is like, we are talking a little bit or something of, in German we have another expression of ungelegte Eier. So we're talking about eggs which are not even there yet. I mean, this, what they emphasized about the dynamic of Riga, maybe Liepāja, maybe Daugavpils, Jelgava, some cities that we have, some smaller cities which are very elaborated, we have to say that, they're really good, but the reality looks a little bit different in Latvia. And how do we bridge that situation? Because we are talking also, as Helena has pointed that out, about smart communities. And for sure, it's a fantastic system, what it offers us, and communities, I don't know, social services, health services, they would wonderfully benefit from all of that. But if the infrastructure is not there yet, how do we do that?
Well, let me answer with a couple of remarks and thoughts on that one. When I presented this morning, my first remark on energy management and energy control was that the best energy managers is the people without money. Why? Because they do the best energy management you can imagine, because they put out the lights whenever they can, and they put the heating as low as they can. You don't need indeed our products to come to the best energy management if the customer is aware, or the consumer is aware of what is the cost of energy. And I do agree that in Belgium probably we are looking a little bit different to energy. In fact, we don't look at it all anymore. That something comes out of the wall, being water, being heat, being electricity. But we even don't consider it as a service anymore. It's normal. We only complain when it's not there or when the prices rise up, but it should be there. Some people even say that it should be free because it's a general service. So it's really the starting point, and definitely from the side what we try to do in Belgium is achieve awareness. Now, as you were saying, the people who have to look for their own energy, I'm sure they are aware what the energy is if you have to look for your own. And in fact, countries like us are now building energy low houses or energy zero emission houses. In fact, people trying to build an infrastructure and even using equipment for which they would not need the infrastructure anymore. In fact, they want to be as independent of the infrastructure, which is not too bad in the end. So the aim is not to make the grid smarter for having a smarter grid, okay? Because the intention should be to have sustainability and to make people be aware of what energy really costs to the whole of the society. On the other hand, the awareness is important for those who are not aware. And I'm going to give an example which I always use if you compare energy today with the public transport. In fact, one of the biggest things you can do for sustainability is using more public transport. Now, a lot of people, definitely with us, I cannot speak of Letland because it's my first day here, so I have not learned enough about your culture. But with us, it's really a matter of awareness and reminding people and pushing people to go and use the public transport, otherwise everybody will take his car. An electrical vehicle will make driving a car maybe more sustainable, but in the end it will not solve the solution because it's still the cost of the highways and everything that will remain. It will not change anything, it will just make the driving cost a little bit cheaper, but it will, the infrastructure problems will still remain, we still will have the same traffic jams and everything, which is also sustainability. So now what you have to do to make sure that people get on the public transport, first make sure you have public transport, you need an infrastructure. If you don't have the infrastructure, well, you don't get people on it, that's number one. Secondly, you have to make the people aware that the infrastructure is there and how they can get access to it. And then you have to make sure you optimize it so that the infrastructure can be used optimally by as many people as possible. That does not include everybody, because then probably it's not optimal anymore, but at least as optimal as possible. So having a public transport which is 10 kilometers away is still not maybe the best case. It should still be accessible. And then you keep on optimizing on what you have to do. So again, on the energy, you also will have to provide an infrastructure. And if you, in the case you don't have infrastructure, you have not to think smart, but I think you have to think wise. What do you want to achieve in the first place? And what is really necessary to get a development? Because that's the other part. To really develop areas, you will need an infrastructure. And maybe it's not starting with energy, but it will start with a road or with public transport or with something else. That is what these people are thinking about. And energy is just one part of it. But at the other hand, it's by people like us that are playing with new technologies that we enable possibilities for the people who think about the sustainability. You need to have both at the same time. Because if we would not driving it on the technology, we will still have the infrastructure on the energy from 50 years ago.
Thank you. Or maybe there's one more thing we should start with in Latvia. It's the light signals on the crossings of the streets on different times of the day. I always wonder, is that regulated in any way, smartly or wisely? Because sometimes it seems to me, I'm a driver too, it seems to me that it's absolutely unlogical and disturbing. Well, just an idea. You wanted to add something, Helena?
I wanted to thank my colleague about his speech. I think it's you got the point. So sex is possible.
Okay. So, jautājumi, lūdzu, questions, dear audience. Here we go.
Why did you choose for this research this period 20 days? Was there some idea behind it, or because I noticed the dates for the families, Hedy, it was 20 days, why? Not a month or something?
Those dates were just there because then they were fully operated and it was part of the project. And there, one part is running from the second phase. There was a first phase just to do the technical rollout of all the installations, to get the monitoring, to get the technology, the telecommunication with the different internet providers in Belgium, just to check. That was phase one, that was in 2010 already. And now those two groups were put in a different testing phases. So then they were automated. In the past, I just could put their ideal stopping time, readiness time, and during that period, they activated it more frequently because there were higher incentives also. It was just a period in the project.
No, I'm just wondering, it's okay, I understand the process, but why it's 20 days, not 30 or 10? Why the duration is 20 days to get the average result or something? No idea behind it?
That I don't know.
Just.
I know the monitoring phase was 1 year just to have all the seasons within it and all the weather conditions involved, and that you could have a...
Okay then.
Well, I can give you the real answer because time was running out.
Okay, thank you. This sounds logical.
Okay, thank you. If I may return to what you said, that here in Latvia most of the households are totally not ready for anything, so that's a complete utopia for us. If we would like to plan something similar, I would like to ask Professor Šķiņķis, what's your opinion? Is it really like that? Are we in such a deep
I don't believe that technically Latvia is so bad. Jonas was talking like about Africa. I understand that there is something common. There is something common there. Some animals were thinking slowly, and Latvia maybe it's slow a little bit. But from my opinion, and what Professor Muiznieks mentioned, that our emphasis on policy, it's understanding of the context on the one side, technical situation, but I think that in Latvia, which is in many aspects are very fragmented, also technical, but fragmented mainly in social practices, and by understanding of smart development in context of city development in Latvia, what we need is putting things together to change this fragmented social practices, fragmented networks which are sectorally managed or organized and etc. And that is the way how we are looking to smart development as one of the challenging options and one of the main direction of our solution on sustainable development at a real concrete level, on concrete scale, on city, on village, on neighborhood.
But isn't it so that if we imagine a project like Heidi told us about here in Latvia, shouldn't we start with a huge social campaign and explanation what will be going on? Because I think a lot of people here in Latvia would say, you will put a box in my house which will control my energy consumption and tell me what to do, when do I have to switch my washing machine on and so on. Go to hell. I don't need this total stuff of control, so I'll do whatever I want and you will not tell me. How is it in Belgium? What's the public opinion on that?
Well, I can definitely tell you that you will not tell a housewife in Belgium that she should not do her washing when she has the clothes of her kids dirty.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I mean.
Sorry. But again, don't look at the box as a box. Let me give you another example. If you don't have infrastructure and you would having a heat pump installed in your garden to provide your local energy without having the infrastructure to do so, wouldn't it be nice for that the heat pump would have an interface through internet or another one, so that the people who have provided you the box can check on a technical level that this thing is operating the best way. And if there is a problem, they can interact and having the spares available, so that in fact before you as a consumer start having call because the thing is not working, that they already can contact you. We see that there is a problem coming on, can we come and repair it? And that same module in that heat pump is that box. I mean, don't look at this box that we put as a consumer just as this box. This is examples how we test technology and how we go forward and how we can test the interaction, because it's testing interaction, what works with consumers and what doesn't. And something will not work and some things will work. One of our partners in the Netherlands is thinking, we are working with them on developing a switch in the house. It's a virtual switch, could be a hardware switch, we don't know yet. 4 positions. Night position, everything quiet, everything peace, use as less energy as possible. Other position, party position. I'm going to use all the energy I have because I have a family party and I don't want to be bothered with energy. Let me use everything I can. I want to be really celebrating and not thinking about energy. 2 other possibilities. Okay, if you have a nice price to offer me, you can contact me and I will, maybe I will react on that. I give another example on demand-side management, by the way. And the last position is, I will give you the opportunity, if you give me a nice price, that you do some things automatically, you as a service provider. But the end user is always, and should remain, always in control. It will not work vice versa. So you should offer him possibilities. And not everybody will make use of the same possibilities. But it's offering possibilities. And on the other hand, by the testing we do, we can develop possibilities that will work and other ones will just die because it will not work. And that's one of the things we are testing, what's acceptable for consumers and what is not. And it's clear that what we are testing in Belgium is not one-on-one applicable over here. We will do by reusing technology in a cheaper way and in a better way, but we will have to do the retesting over here and the outcome can be different.
Uh-huh.
If I can add something from the linear project, it was also hard to find the right representative group of participants for the project. Because who wants to take part? That are the believers in technology, the pioneers. And they are very aware of how their energy consumption is. So I can say, honestly, that those 250 households are not representative for Belgians too. They are believers in the project, but we need to use their experience to test further and further. Because what we see, what are some drivers for those people to take part? They have solar panels. Their counter is counting down when they are supplying to the grid. At this moment, they are just paying their bill on annual basis. So if on 1st of January your counter is 0 because on yearly basis your production and generation, your consumption and generation was in balance, then it was okay, you don't pay anything at this moment. But that will change in future. You will pay also for electricity that you put on the grid. So you need to be aware of your demand and how you can adjust it regarding your own generation. So that's a driver on long term for the people to take part.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, questions, please. Lūdzu, lūdzu, jautājumi. Man vēl ir 2 jauki bukletiņi. Es varu uzdāvināt nākamajam jautātājam, kurš pacels roku. Tagad pirmais dabūs bukletiņu. Nopietni. Nemānos. Hello. Kas noticis? Jā.
Is there any possibility to this smart box? In this smart box, is there any possibility to switch off the nuclearly produced energy from otherwise produced energy? Thank you.
To make a difference, to indicate the energy which is produced.
Well, today it's not, but the problem is the energy should be labeled at the production site for us to be able to react upon. Once there is a label and that label would be communicated, of course it would be able to do so. Now, vice versa, at least in Belgium, we as a consumer can subscribe for green electricity, and that's the opposite, where you do a deliberate choice to have only green energy consumed. That means that the producers have to guarantee, at least to government, and by contract to the consumer, that the energy he's delivering is green energy. So it's not a technical switching in the home, it's at the production site where it all starts. So does it mean that when I have a subscription on green energy, that my electricity that comes in my house is technically green. No, it means that the number of customers that are consuming green energy have to be covered by green production. But it's not a one-on-one. Green consumption should be matched by green production.
Maybe I can just make 2 comments for the Latvian audience here. In Belgium, we had a small discussion this morning. In Belgium, we have 2 tariffs for electricity. One during the day and a lower tariff during the night. So there it's very interesting to have this kind of robotica or whatever you want to call it, because after 10 o'clock, electricity is cheaper. So instead of putting on your washing machine at 8 o'clock, you put it on at 10 o'clock and it costs you less. The second thing I want to say is, if I understand correctly, a lot of the old apartment buildings here, they have the radiators which you cannot even turn off. So what I see in the middle of the winter when it's minus 15, minus 25, the windows of the houses are open because the heat production is too much. It's unbearable in those small flats. And a lot of electricity goes lost, or a lot of heat goes lost just because you can't turn off the radiator. So those 4 electricity or heat production facilities consume a lot more, a lot too much, because you cannot regulate. I hate heat in my bedroom, so I wish I could switch off the radiator in my bedroom and have it cold. I would sleep good, but it's impossible here unless I open the window.
Oh, that is pure Belgian. Yeah, it is always. I'm sleeping in fridge. Yeah, when I'm coming to Belgium, it is unbelievable. You don't use warm sleeping rooms. Terrible.
Probably I missed some very important point. What's the price for 1 kilowatt hour in Belgium? Because eventually it may explain a lot of your effort.
Yeah, is the difference so significant?
I don't know.
Between the prices?
0.056 euro cent a kilowatt hour.
0.56
0.056 for a kilowatt hour. For a kilowatt hour, and it's included distribution and transport.
0.0056, you said?
No. 56 cents.
Cik ir mums? How much is it here in Latvia? About the same. Okay. Nu, vēl kāds jautājums? Lūdzu.
Hello. I just want to reconnect to what has been said before about the housewives that are using this device and everything, and how actually the education to energy is in Belgium. I would like to make 2 questions. One to the Belgian guests, and the other one to the local one. What is the level of education to, how can I say, intelligent, smart use of energy in Belgium and here? I would like to know a comparative analysis, let's say like this. Thanks.
Thank you. So let's start with...
I can say something about the level of knowledge of energy. I have teach my wife on the level of that, because I had a smart display in my home who was telling how much kilowatt we was using at several points, and she didn't understand it. So it was a smart display, and I could put in on the euro level at that point, when you're using 2,000 watt, 3,000 watt, 6,000 watt at that point. It was indicated in euros. She didn't understand it. But if you put it in euros on hourly base, then she understands it, because it's ticking very fast, euros. And it was so heavy that when was time for to go to sleep, she was passing by the display saying, what we are using now? I say, the wash machine and the dryer. So much? I say, okay, no, it's night tariff, but in a day it's the double. And that was teaching the end customer on the level of using energy, because I think a lot of people don't know what it is, the consumption that we are throwing away. That's why I'm saying, when we are going to sleep, what is your sleeping energy? And make a count on yearly base. I think a lot of people would cut off everything that is in standby.
Yeah, but that's quite typical for Latvian residents, I think, or let's put it this way, Eastern Europeans, we still don't care. I mean, electricity has been here always, it will always be. Just plug in whatever you want. Same about water. We've been told at school that when you brush your teeth, close the tap, okay? Don't let the water just run without any purpose. Well, people don't care. They just open the tap and, okay, we don't give a shit. Water, it's just water. So, is there a difference in Belgium and in Latvia concerning this? I mean, you asked the level of intelligence of people who might be involved in energy saving schemes like this. Yep.
Well, I think we don't have enough information. We were trying to get some information from the Latvian producers, providers that were in the morning at the seminar. The fact is that for sure there is a different level of awareness, because the effort in awareness campaigns has been different. I think that priorities in development in Latvia in these 23 years have been quite different from Belgium, and therefore there has been emphasis on different aspects of development rather than the environmental one. The fact is that in order to answer the question, we need and service producers need much feedback from the consumers, because we know theoretically that behaviors depends on intentions. Intentions depends on attitudes. What do attitudes depend on? Economic constraints, beliefs. It's hard to say in advance. So we know there has been a different emphasis from above, but this is an open question, I would say. Okay.
On the user level, if it's about learning and teaching, on the user level, I don't feel, because they don't call me, I don't feel any information. And Electrabel has these nice movies on the television, and Latvenergo doesn't. So I think that there's not a lot of there is no systematic approach which is aimed to reach each customers, all of the groups. What is the case in Belgium?
Maybe I would like to add something, and it's not something I'm proud of to have to tell you. But although we try to educate and to have people learning in how to behave with energy, we are in Belgium now in the process the last 3 months, which goes in an exponential rate to learn people about energy savings. Since we are discussing possible blackouts in the winter in Belgium, you hear me right, we in Belgium will have blackouts in winter time. So be careful what you wish for, that energy will be available all the time. So I can tell you now the awareness of energy and the availability, not the cost, but the availability is rising exponentially. For the learning curve, that's fantastic. For the learning curve, that's fantastic. But afterwards, we will see what the impact will be.
Thank you. Tā, lūdzu, vēl kāds jautājums?
If I may just add, just like what you were asking you over there, like the difference and the education. Well, just from the personal experience, I would say, like, when you have, for instance, water at home, just coming out of the tap, like the moderator said. So here in Latvia, we can just doing our washing up, just let the water just coming out of the tap. It doesn't care. Why? Because at the end of the month or at the end of the year, the bill doesn't come very high. Whereas in Belgium, I would never ever imagine to wash my dish in the evening, like when the water is coming all the time without closing it or without using two apart sinks, just because at the end of the year my bill is very high of water. But I think what we can really learn today is that, well, today maybe the water here in Latvia is not the issue, but it will be. And the electricity is the price of electricity is already becoming the issue now, and we can really learn, like also Mr. Dirk de Taai said, from the failures, and just to adapt the Belgian experience here, how not to do, and how can we adapt the good experience on the problems and issues here. So that's just to add.
Thank you. So, any more questions from the audience? Everybody's tired? Everybody is. Okay, should we call it a day? It's almost 8 o'clock. Really, nobody would go home and make a suicide just because he or she didn't ask the question she always wanted to ask. You would like to add something, please?
I would like to ask a question to the three of you. What do you think would be our main important step for us to come closer to what you're trying to do? What should we change? What should we adapt? What should we learn? Or how can we help you in the more structural, policy-driven things that you're doing?
What I have just understood, thank you for a question, because I thought that I will not say that, but just came in my mind after Peteris was speaking about fragmentation in our field, planning and policy, urban policies. I think that what we have to learn from you, and maybe that is the concept of smartness is good, that you are speaking about connectivity and integration. That is something what is missing by us, connectivity and integration, and this is something what we have to learn. But what you have to learn from us?
Well, I'm not so focused on giving advices to learn something from us. Maybe you could say what you are found as something new, fresh, and useful for in your practice.
Well, again, in my belief, and this is maybe a more personal opinion, is you have a number of infrastructures which are essential for every society. It's about transport, it's about energy, it's about communication, and it's something you have to build. Now, energy is an important driver of this, because without energy, you don't have communication, you don't have transport of everything. Now energy, it's on all different domains. Electricity is only one part of it. There's heat, there's everything. But in the end, energy is at the basis of supporting all the rest. So it's crucial for a society. I mean, if I speak about the blackouts in Belgium, to give one example, the trains, if there's one single community where they have to cut off the electricity, the national railways will stop running over the whole of Belgium because they don't want to take the risk that there would be one accident coming because one device not working. So only one street which would be cut off will put the whole of the train traffic down in Belgium. Do you know the economic impact of that? I mean, that's a disaster, eh? And just one street that will be cut. Maybe some, how you say that in English? A slagboom. Well, one passing for the train cannot be opened or closed again, so they will not run. They don't take the risk. But that's an economic disaster, eh, if that happens. And that's one example. On the telecommunication, we don't know. Can you imagine an economic activity like a country in Belgium without internet? I mean, we're dead. It will take 3 days before we're up again. So, and that's just one simple example of the consequence of what it is. So, I think what we're trying to do is involve in making people aware of energy, because the importance is far much bigger than having to pay €2 more or less. That's not what it's all about. Of course, it's playing a role, and unfortunately for people, every consumer, energy is not sexy. We consider it as being there, and we only complain about the bill. And it will never be sexy, but it's still important that we work on people awareness what the impact of it is and the cost of it all on the whole system. And that's my message to you.
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, according to our empirical experience, even here, people acknowledge the interconnection of the different aspects of development. When they are asked about priorities for economic development, they always mention service infrastructures. So they know about it. They know that the aspects, well, we may separate them. We may separate axis of development for the sake of theorization, of measuring indicators, but they are all interconnected. So, well, being aware of that, I think, is the only lesson that can be learned, of interconnection between your activity and governance and your activities and all the implications that it has for development. This implies maybe considering the customers not only as customers, but, well, as citizens in the broad sense of the word, because the impact is on all their activities.
That is about the online shopping on the local store, please. Don't shop online at the local store. Keep it like a communication place and a meeting place.
Well, there will always be somebody who would like to do it online.
Still, for a city, it's important that there is local economy, because if the people are running out, and we see that in different cities in Belgium, I can tell you that's killing a city as well. So please don't underestimate the importance of local economy, and you're invited to a number of cities, if you want, in Belgium to show you the importance of it. I think you overlook a number of problems that are coming out of that. And we can give really examples. The project we started was on the demand of the city of St. Niklaas, because we really had a problem that all the local merchants were disappearing because of a big shopping center which was created and everybody was going to there, and the whole of the economy was going down. Number of people moving out and everything, so the city was losing inhabitants and everything.
I had the point that there are local shops, they have to be more local shops, but not as an online possibility, online shopping there, but to shop in life. Yeah, there.
Okay. Well, anybody to declare anything, to add anything, or to ask anything else tonight? No. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and efforts, and we've got, I got a mug tonight, and you will get mugs from our university too. Everybody of you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So everybody has a mug. Yeah? Correct. Thank you again. Paldies visiem klātesošajiem. Maz jūsu ir palicis. So the next scientific cafe will be announced on the homepage of our university. So just check up and have a nice evening, everybody. Thank you.